Guys, thank you so much for coming to the YouTube channel. So happy to have you here, and I'm really excited to share this video with you guys because I believe these three things, three there, game changers, three game changers which I truly can honestly say to you will help you take your game to the next level, both in the short term and long term. So get ready for these guys, okay? So the first thing I think that can take your game to the next level is self-reflection and self-feedback, okay? So actually reflecting on yourself as a player, reflecting on your game so you can actually understand, first of all, what type of player are you, okay? If I was you, what I'd do is I would get a notebook or a notepad like this and I'll just jot down, these are my strengths, okay? So write down 3 strengths you have and write down 3 things which you believe aren't your strengths, okay? So all the things you don't like as much. So maybe you don't like dribbling or you don't like shooting, yeah? So maybe actually write down your strengths and weakness. This is going to define you as a player, and no matter what age you are, the things which you enjoy the most are most likely to, when you're older, be the things which are actually going to make you a top player, if that makes sense. So actually writing down, actually reflecting on yourself, what you personally, not anyone else, not your coach, not your mum, not your dad, not your best friend, not what they think, but actually what you think of yourself as a player and what your 3 strengths and weaknesses are. So first of all, guys, jot those few things down. That should really help you actually understand what type of player you are and what your strengths and weaknesses actually are, okay? The second thing is now you're going to actually talk to other people about it. So you're actually going to ask your coach what things you actually need to work on, okay? So what they think you need to work on, and obviously so tying into the weaknesses, and also asking what they think your strengths are, okay? So then you can actually have more of an understanding that my reflection of myself or my feedback I'm giving myself is the same as my coaches or is actually not the same as my coaches, okay? I understand that in New Zealand anyway, lots of our coaches are volunteers, which is amazing, which is awesome. If your coach isn't as invested or as keen into football as you are, maybe ask someone else. So I'm sure you can find maybe your parents or someone else you know understands football and you can ask them for advice on these things. So if your coach doesn't know or doesn't really want to help, that's cool. So feel free to just ask someone else. But who actually knows football, who understands football and developing players, okay? So that's the second one. Ask your coach or someone who knows what they're talking about, what they think your strengths are, what they think your weaknesses are, and and ask them a few tips of things you can practice in your own time, okay? Whether that be to improve your strengths or weaknesses or even both, okay? And the last thing, okay, along the lines of both these 2 things, is to take into account what strengths and weaknesses you have and then actually watch players, okay? So go on YouTube, watch full games and watch players' individual highlights too, and watch the players who have similar weaknesses and strengths as you and who play in similar roles as you, okay? Then by watching them or being actually mindful of the individual, you can start to actually take a few little bits and pieces which you can write into your notebook. So for example, if it's playing as a striker, maybe I would watch someone like Luis Suarez and I'd watch some of the movements he makes. So Luis Suarez is very good at checking his shoulders and actually understanding when to turn, when to lay the ball off and spin. So I'll just jot those few things down in my notebook. So then before I go to my next training or my next game, I can look at it and say, oh, I need to remind myself that when I'm playing as a striker, I actually have to drop in and check my shoulder to see if I've got a player on me and I can turn or not. So just actually watching, applying, and actually then trying to do those things into a game and actually copy your heroes or your players you love, or copy those few little bits and pieces which will really help you to be able to take your game to the next level, okay? So I'll leave you guys with those 3 things, okay? So the first thing is 3 things you can do is to self-reflect. Reflect on yourself as a player and give yourself feedback on your 3 biggest strengths and your 3 biggest things you think you need to work on, or we'll call them weaknesses, okay? And then the second thing is to ask your coach, guys. Ask your coach or someone you know who knows football really, really well, which probably won't that often be a family member. It might be someone else you know, okay? So don't be afraid to ask them, guys. And make sure it's you, the player, not the parent who asks that, okay? Show your coach or whoever that you're really invested in your football development, okay? And the last one is to watch. YouTube is the best resource ever, guys. Watch full games and watch players specifically who play your roles. Write down a few little things that they're doing which you can apply, and watch individual player highlights. As I said, for myself, I said a player I'd watch is Luis Suarez. I play as a striker. I'm not fast like Suarez, but so I need to make sure I focus on really getting good movements. So maybe I'll jot down the movements he makes, how he kicks his shoulders, when he drops in and fakes and goes the other way. Okay, so actually using your notepad to actually record a few of the things which you see from the videos on YouTube. Okay, so guys, give those few things a try. Let me know your thoughts. And remember, you know where to find us on the FCF Trainer, which is our online individual training platform. Or, if you're in New Zealand, guys, and you want sessions, we're in Auckland, firstclassfootballtraining.com. Check us out, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And have a great week. See you next Monday too, 7 p.m, guys.